This is the project we're going to make today. It can be made in two ways, one with photographs and one with the sentiments from the kit. Let me show you. So it's a 10-fold card, folds nice and flat to post, but there's so much going on in here. As you pull the tab, this is the beautiful waterfall card with all those lovely sentiments from the kit, and a secret place here for you to put a secret note as well. So it's a beautiful card to make. The mechanism is all hidden away, and when you open up the card, plenty of space there to stamp or write a greeting or put little notes. But you can also make it with photographs, as I've done here. These are photographs of Sarah and her boys. So again, same idea, but just by adding photographs instead of your little sentiments, this could be given to a member of the family you don't see very often, and just to share some photographs of the boys as they're growing up. Just a little keepsake to say we're thinking of you. So a great way to do it. So I'm going to do the tutorial with the sentiments and quotes, but you could quite easily make this project with photographs too. So gather up your supplies and let's get started. To start the project, I've got a sheet of black cardstock here, and I've folded it in half to make a 10-fold card that's measuring 7 inches by 5 inches. So I can pop that to one side. That's my card base. I've then got another sheet of card, and this is measuring 6 3/4 inches by 4 3/4 inches. I've done it that measurement so you get that nice little black line around when we mat and layer that on the front. Now, as the working out mechanism for this waterfall card is all going to be hidden, I've picked my pattern paper, which is absolutely beautiful. I've gone here for the one with the orange tones this time, and what I've done is I've actually matted or layered it onto a piece of this black card. Because I'm hiding the mechanism, I need it to be sturdy. So all I've done is go in with my all-purpose glue, and I've stuck the card directly onto, or the pattern paper directly onto my card, and I've just cut around the edge. So that's all nicely dry. On the reverse, I've gone in with some 3/4 inch double-sided tape, and I've put a strip at each end. So this is going to give me a guide of where I'm coming in. Okay, I'm going to be using wet glue as well for this, but it gives me a little bit of a guide. You're also going to need a strip of card that is measuring 3.5 inches in depth, because that's going to be the width of our mats for our waterfall. And at the moment, don't worry too much about the length, because I'm going to be die cutting that decorative edge. But this one I've got here approximately 8 inches, and then I've done a 1/2 inch score line on one end. Okay, so we can set that aside. So what I need to do now is to make my envelope opening this end, to thread this through, and it needs to be 3.5 inches wide. So I'm going in with my ruler. I did look for my white pen, but I couldn't find it anywhere, so I'm sure you can bear with me. And what I need to do is to mark in at 6/8 of an inch on both sides. So just making a mark. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then that should give me my 3.5 inches. Okay, so that is my measurement. So what I'm going to do is just draw a line there, and then I'm going to draw another little line just beside it. Okay, if I bring that up to the camera, you can see my two lines there. So this is going to create my envelope opening. I'm going to go in with my craft knife to cut this. So just take, I'm using a steel ruler just because I find this is easier. You could go in with your guillotine if you want, or your paper trimmer, if you know you can be really accurate to the actual measurement. I'm just going down several times just to make sure I've got that nicely through, which I have. And then I'm now going to do the other side. So I'm creating like a little envelope opening, or pillar box opening I should say, pillar box really, not envelope, pillar box opening. So this is going to give us a place to thread through the mechanism. Just need to come through a little bit more on there. And I've got both of those showing on there. That one hasn't come through fully on that side. But again, don't worry too much about your lines being straight because you're threading card through here, so you're not going to see it. And then I'm just going to take my knife on this edge. This is where I would recommend you just do this with a craft knife, or you could punch a little hole, whatever you feel comfortable with. So just take your time with this. And because we're going through some sturdy cardstock and also the paper, so you will just need to take your time. And there we go, that's come away. Alright, so let me just put my knife away. So as you can see, the mechanism just slides behind there quite nicely. So we're now going to flip this over now, because we now need to make the opening for the other end. So if you want to leave your mechanism in, bearing in mind the fold is going to be the other end, but it doesn't matter, it's all the same length. If you wanted to fold that, hold that in there in place, and you could just tuck that under there, that will give you your guide to where your lines need to be. So if we just line this up so it's all nice and central to where it needs to be, just take your time with that. And then just go in with your pencil and you can create some pencil lines. Okay, and I think if I remember on my finished one that I've got here, I came down just about 3.5 inches. So if I pull this out and now measure these lines at 3.5 inches. Oh, that's bang on. That's one there. And that's one there. So now I've got to cut along this line here, along that line, and along that line. You could go ahead and pop that in your paper trimmer, but again, I think I'm just going to use my craft knife as I got it out. So let's start with one of these lines. So just line your ruler up. Very easy to do, you know, just be careful obviously because it's the blade, but just take your time and you'll feel when it's gone all the way through. I'm just going down an extra time, I can feel the mat so I know it has. So that's gone through there, I just need to catch that bit there. And then again on this other side. Very carefully all the way down, making sure it doesn't slip because we want it nice and straight. It's just a nice way of doing the waterfall like this because it looks, all the mechanisms hidden, it looks more professional and people will look at the card and wonder how you've done it. So, and that's always good when we're giving a card, that people look at it and are amazed that you've made it yourself. Just going along that end there. So now I just need to join these two parts up. I wasn't quite strong enough on getting that last bit down. And if I just flip it over, because I'm going through the cardstock and the pattern paper, and it is a lot easier to attach your pattern paper first, a lot easier. You know, you can imagine trying to do this and then glue your pattern paper on the top afterwards and match it up. not very easy. So that's that side through. Let's just nick that corner, and that's that side through. So we've now got this going on. Okay, so let me put my knife away. So we've got that all going on there. Need to do some score lines in here now, so let me bring a scoreboard in. I just thought I'd bring the little one in this time. So I'm going to do 3 score lines because I'm going to do 3 panels. So this is where, depending on how many panels you want to put in your waterfall, as to how many score marks you're actually going to make. So I'm going to do 3, and what I'm going to do is try and bend this back, not too much, and these need to be 1/2 inch again. So just go down on that 1/2 inch mark. Now bear in mind we are going through pattern paper and score line, which is not very easy, as you can see, but just take your time and keep in. Must have something in my scoreboard there. So we're going to do then at 1 inch, and then again at 1.5. Okay, so that is our 3 score marks made. Let me pop this to one side, and then we can bring our bone folder in and mark these score lines. So we're going to bone fold these. I brought my big bone folder in this time because I'm going through cardstock. So you've got your 3 lines, and you're just going to fold it over and give them a really good burnish down. You really need to get these burnished down, and because I'm going through the cardstock as well, you do need to give this a good going over that, because this will help make your mechanism run smoothly. And the last one there. Okay, so you can see how that's now starting to come together. So the next thing I want to do is to put my die cut on my end here, and I'm just trying to find my die. I've tucked it away. So this is the die, this is the nice decorative edge, and I think we're going to pop this on the end here. So I just need to make sure it's in the right place. So what I'm going to do is slide this through here. This is going to lay flat, and then this piece that's coming up is going to stick to the underside of here. So if you just hold them in the right position, it will give you an idea of where you want your die to go. That's why I said originally with the length on here, don't be too concerned. So if I want to have a piece of ribbon, that's what I've done on here. Used a nice wide piece of that decorative ribbon. I could then have my die roughly about there. So if I tape that in place and bring my mats in, I'm going to use my embossing mat as well, because with this die it's very good to cut and emboss it, so we've got that nice detail. So I'm going to take that mechanism out, because we don't need to put that through the die cutting machine, and bring my plates in, and then I can pop that through my Gemini. Just getting those last couple of pieces out of my cardstock. So this is cut quite nicely. I've embossed it as well, so we've got that nice round look, because if we didn't emboss it you just get a hard edge, so it is quite nice to have the round look. Okay, so that's all that beautifully die cut. So even though the die is longer, take the tape off here. It just literally fell out. That was the thing with it. So even though your die is longer, don't always think you've got to use that length of your die. You know, you can use elements of your die as well. So these on the edge dies are fabulous. So let me just clear all these bits out of the way. Bring our mechanism in, and the first thing we're going to do is to glue this half fold on. So let's thread this decorative edge now through there. See how pretty that looks? It does look nice. And then what you're going to do is put some tacky glue on this edge here. I would recommend the tacky glue because you get a quick grab with that. Okay, so pop that on there. And that's only going to go to that first half inch fold. So just lining it all up, making sure it's all square. Pressing that down so that glue disperses nicely. But you can see how it's all coming together nicely. And I think at this stage as well, I'm going to add my piece of ribbon at the same time. So if I just slide this out while the glue is drying, this will be a good time for me to add my ribbon. So the ribbon you've got is also in your kit. So if I get my ribbon, we've got several widths of this ribbon, which is nice. I'm going to use this one. This is the, I'll just measure it for you. This is the 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to just add this with my double-sided tape. And I've wrapped it the whole way round. So just by going right onto the edge. This is where it's going to be a little bit tricky. I perhaps should have done this before I stuck that piece down, but I can see what I'm doing. And just trim that off there, and then just going in with my ribbon. So I'll just pull this back. So to start, I'll do a square edge. This orange matches perfectly with the paper that I've picked for this project as well, I must say. You know, you've not got to think about anything matching with these projects because everything has been put in the box for you. So Sarah has thought of everything. So you just literally open the box and start crafting. It's lovely. So you've not got to think, oh, have I got the right ribbon to match the papers and have I got the right cardstock? It's all here for you. And then I just snip that off there. Okay, so take this all out of the way now. So if we turn this over now, that should have had time to dry as well. Just poking that just through there carefully with those dies. You can see now how that's getting that nice look going on. So the next thing I want to do before I go ahead and attach this to my main card is I've used some spice marmalade, keeping with that bit of orange theme that we've got going on here. It complements actually beautifully to the pinks in the flowers as well. And I'm just dusting the edge with some of the Distress ink. You know, see what inks you've got at home that complement and will match. You don't have to use the orange ribbon. You may choose to use the pink ribbon on this, but I think with these orangey tones coming out, it just looks nice. It's more of a peach really than an orange, I'd say, but it is just beautiful. And the other thing I want to do before I also stick all this down is go in again with the ribbon theme. And this is the stage you want to do this at, is to actually attach a piece of the thinner piece just on this end. And this is the stage to do it at before we stick it down to our main card. So I'm just going to put a piece about there. And I'm not going to wrap this all the way round. All got stuck to my scissors. I'm just going to pull that back a bit there. And pull that back a bit there as well. And we can wrap that round. Because it just ties everything in together. And I'm taking my red line tape off. There we go. You don't have to use red line tape. You could quite easily use your normal double-sided, but I would use tape to hold this in place. Okay, so that's a little bit of ribbon and decoration on that end. And now we're coming together to now attach this. Can you see how it's now starting to work? So this is where you want to make sure this is all working before we attach it. Okay. So this is ready to be added. So let's bring our card base in here. And we're going to now glue this to the card base itself. Just lining that up. I've got a little nick on there. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So when we stick this down, we don't want this middle piece stuck down, otherwise the card isn't going to work. So what you're going to be doing is putting glue on this edge and where I've got my double-sided tape. Okay, so you just got to be really careful that the glue doesn't seep over as well. So let me just go in with my glue at the sides here, not in that middle panel at all. So just on these outside edges, and try and sort of give that a swirl around. We will go in with the bone folder to disperse the glue, but just to make sure. You can add as many waterfalls as you want to this card. You can make this card as big or small as you like as well. So there's just no limits once you know how to do it. So if I take that off, I'm just going to pop some tacky glue on here as well, because I think it's a bit more sturdy than the double-sided tape. This is strong double-sided tape, but this card is going to, once the recipient has it, is going to have a lot of movement. You know, it's going to be one of those cards that will come out and be shown and played with, so to say, lots and lots of times. So that's my glue round, and then we need to carefully position this in place, just making sure it's all. So you've got that little black line going all the way around. I'm going to go in with my big bone folder now and just give that glue a good rub down. Get that glue dispersed, because it does make a big difference. Just make sure you've got nothing seeping out under here. I'm happy I haven't, that's gone down well. And if you just lift this carefully, you can just rub underneath there to disperse the glue, that edge as well. Now, because this is going to have a lot of pulling about, I am going to add some brads in each of the corners. So I've just picked a colour from my crafty stash that match. You're just going to need 4, because this card is going to have a lot of pulling about, so to say. So just with a pokey tool, and this is the stage to do this at before we go ahead and add the waterfalls, and also it just means it's giving this a little bit longer to dry. So just carefully go through, because I'm going through the ribbon as well there. That's true. So just poke your brads through and open those up. And you now need to go ahead and do those on all 4 corners. So now I'm just sticking the actual waterfalls on themselves. These are measuring 3.5 by 3.5, and I've got the 3.5 measurement because of the height of the panel that we've put in. If you want a 4.5 or 4, that's where you take your measurement from. I've done squares, so by doing squares you've got that waterfall look. However, if you didn't want that waterfall look, what I would recommend then you do is go for your 3.5 depth and then make them longer, so you've got your main card is quite a sort of big panel, if you like. So what I've done is just put glue between the 2 score lines. I'm just going to pop the last one down here. So glue between the 2 score lines, not on the score lines itself, just between the 2 of those pieces, and then popping that last one on there, and then when that's on, just give that a burnish to disperse the glue, and then just checking no glue is coming out, a little bit on there. So you can now see how the card is coming together. That does need just a little bit of time just to let that glue set before we start decorating. We could have decorated our panels first, but I haven't. Now the panels themselves, I've got 3 panels here, and these are measuring 3 inches by 3 inches, so it gives me that little bit of line all the way round. And then from your collection as well, I've gone in and I've picked out some lovely sentiments. So I thought I'd put happy birthday to my dear friend first, and then with love on your birthday, and then finally sending good thoughts your way. So I just think that sort of it just fits in just beautifully. I just think it just, the words just go, and you get lots and lots of sayings in this collection, as you can see. So let's just see how this is going now. So you can, this isn't properly dry, you can see already it's working. What I have done as well is I've stuck another one of these on the inside there, because this is where you're going to write your greeting. So you can write your greeting on here, and if you want you can add extra pattern paper to the inside as well. I haven't, but if you want to you can go ahead. So let's go and start sticking our first ones down, and I think the easiest thing is I'm going to actually stick these die cut chipboard pieces directly onto my paper first. So I'm going to use the tacky because I want that quick grip. Okay, so just sticking those on there. I've inked round all my edges again with the same ink pad, just so everything matches up beautifully, all ties in together, which I think makes a big difference. And that's the nice thing about the kits, everything is all matched together. That's the second one, and then the last one. Now I haven't 3D'd these because it's going to lay back. I don't think that's a good idea personally. So let's pull these out, and we can go by sticking our first one in. And also I'm not going to stick any pearls or ribbons to these because you'll want it to lay flat as well. So just by sticking those in place, you could have stuck these on prior, doesn't matter, whatever you find the easiest to do. And then the next one, just pressing that all down. With this tacky glue it will soon take off. Just centralising that up and sticking that down, and then the very last one. But you can see you've got that suggestion that there's another little greeting going on, so it's just lovely, you know, if you're giving this to a friend. But with all the greetings that you've got in this kit, this could be for anything. It could be a wedding anniversary, you know, it could be a just because card. I think just because cards are lovely to receive, you know, especially if you're thinking of someone, if they're not going through a very good time. It's always lovely to receive a card. So, and then to finish this off as well, I've just got a piece of pearlised paper. Because we put the brads in the corners, we don't obviously want to see that on the inside. So I'm going to put a piece of this pearlised paper, I'm going to glue it on the inside there, but I'm just going to attach it to the back just as an insert. So I'll be doing that, so I can leave that in situ. And then I've picked up a lovely ribbon here, and I did have, and I can't find it under all the mess on my desk, typical crafting, but I can get another one. So let's put our ribbon on. I'm going to put a ribbon on this side here, just with some 3D glue gel, just to finish that off. In fact, I might turn it around the other way, so the points are going that way, so it doesn't interfere with the mechanism at all. And the other thing I wanted to do was, you've got masses and masses of these cut aparts. And I'm going to take this one here, okay, just to say love, because we're giving love to a special friend. So I'm just going to ink around the edges. You can see how easily that chipboard comes out. Same ink around the edges there. I'll put a blob of the 3D glue gel on there, and that can attach to our card. So there you go, this is your waterfall card all finished. You know, it's still got bits to dry, and I've got the insert to glue in, but as you can see, it's going to stand out nicely. You've got that lovely tent fold card, and because I've used the 300 GSM card, it does stand nicely. And unlike a lot of waterfall cards that you pull down, because this is going across the way, so to say, it's quite nice, because it does look nice when you've got it out as well. But isn't it lovely? You could even put photographs in here. Photographs would look lovely in this. So it's just a lovely card to give, just something that little bit different, and a real mantelpiece pleaser that I think any friend would love to receive. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and you'll have a go as well at making this beautiful waterfall card.